Hello, I'm Marty Waring-Chafee, Director of Cabrini College's Reading Specialist Certification Program. The college has embarked on a new initiative this year, specifically one in assessment, which will allow students to document what they've learned in their courses, not only for themselves, but also for their instructors. The platform that we're going to be using is called iwebfolio. And the purpose of the video today is to introduce you to that platform so it can be helpful to you. Professionals. So the actual portfolio has been designed to give you a template in which to upload and showcase what you've done well. And you'll see that there are 9 components of the portfolio, which are listed there on the left-hand side. The first one that you're going to engage in is actually going to be the reflective essay, which, while it's listed at the top, you might want to wait till the very end to do because it really ties together everything that you've done. You're going to talk about what you believe to be true in terms of your positioning and your stance, your dispositions towards being a reading specialist, what's important to you in terms of classroom environment, assessment, teaching and learning processes. And we're looking for probably 2 pages for that to be in total. When it comes time for that piece to be uploaded, basically you're going to cut and paste, which you already know how to do from the technology experiences you already have. And the template's been designed so in fact you can just take your text that you created online on your word processor, copy it, paste it, and put it into position on the template.
And Marcus will model for you how to basically do that. You're going to be creating your document in Word, which you would normally do to submit a paper. Copy it from Word and paste it directly on this screen. And then you want to hit either save and continue or save and return. And your work will be saved in your portfolio. The second piece that we want to address in the X portfolio is your reading log. Your reading log is something that is comprised of 15 professional books and 5 professional articles. The articles need to be current, written within the last 5 years, and from 5 different journals. The purpose behind that is to ensure that you have a wide breadth of literacy research. The professional books can be taken from the coursework, so all of your dinner in a book or all of your the content books that we choose to pull to give you the research are fair game for this. When you construct this reading log, you need to focus on 2 things. One is a brief synopsis of what the book is about. So you want to just write a paragraph that details what the textbook that you're using in such and such course really provides the information. The second piece that you really want to focus on, how would or how could I use this information to impact my instruction? I preface this by saying how would or how could you? Because if you're teaching middle school and you're covering a book, let's say Kid Watching from EDG 542, it probably would be more beneficial in the K to 3 grades working with that emerging reader. So that's where we kind of go back and forth with how would or how could you, depending on what your domain is and what you're specifically teaching. The citation should be in APA format because that is standard for the college. Okay? So it's 15 professional books and 5 professional articles.
Though the journals can be online, so they don't have to be paper copies for the journals, such as the Reading Research Quarterly. Lots of the journals in literacy now are now posted online.
We encourage you to do this again in a Word document, copy and paste it into this section of iwebfolio, and then hit save and continue or save and return.
To return means you go back and continue on.
At a later time.
Right.
The next sample, Dr. Chafee, is sample of academic writing.
For most of your courses, you're submitting written work, and for many of them, the work that you're submitting is professional writing, meaning it's something you would be writing for a principal, for a parent, for a classroom environment, that type of thing. It could be a classroom newsletter, it could be a letter of recommendation from a colleague. In contrast to that, though, you also have to write and submit a text that's academic writing, which would be something you would have submitted to a course instructor. It will have a bibliography at the end, and it will have citations embedded within it. The reason we do this is, A, as reading specialists, the kinds of writing you submit need to adhere to the conventions of public writing. We want to make sure that, in fact, we've caught those glitches beforehand. And secondly, you need to be able to write cogently and with clarity. And the academic writing will have a very different feel from professional writing. For many of us, that writing will have been accomplished through educational research 501 or EDG 521, education and social policy. Again, once you choose that text, and it can be at any point in your program, you go into the system, you get to that portion of the template, you cut and paste it, and then you're able to save it. It's important to note that if you want to change something later on, you certainly can. It's not that you have to stick with what an original text you had uploaded. So don't feel like once you've done something in February, in May you can't change it if in fact you've written another text that you're more comfortable submitting.
One of the benefits of using this application, iwebfolio, is that it allows students to be more reflective about work. So just like Dr. Chafee referenced, if you completed something, say 3 months ago in a course, and you go back and you really look at it and reflect on it, you say, you know what, it was good, but I did create something a lot better. You have the opportunity to go in, pull it off, and upload whatever document of your preference.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you the opportunity to reflect, and that is one of the biggest benefits from iwebfolio. The next section of your exit portfolio will focus on curricular adaptations. Throughout this program, you have learned many assessments and many strategies that can be implemented in the classroom to enhance and to improve instruction. So what we're looking for is to see how you will take those strategies and assessments and adapt them to fit your particular situation. So for example, let's say you want to go with assessment. You will pick one assessment from the many that we share with you, and the example that I want to speak about is anecdotal notes. When I was in the classroom, I took anecdotal notes in probably about 4 or 5 different ways. There wasn't one that really worked with my style until I was in my grad program. And throughout my grad program, I was introduced to different methods of using them in a digital format. And that format really made sense to me, and I learned that within my program. So, for the adaptation, I will signal that anecdotal notes was the assessment that I chose to identify as the adaptation. This is what anecdotal notes are. This is how I'm using it, and this is how it's impacting my instruction. In addition to that, I would want to scan a sample of my anecdotal notes and simply place it on this document, and that can all be done in Word. So, what are you really doing? You are identifying assessment. You are defining the assessment. You are offering information about how you adapt that assessment to meet your own needs in the classroom. And you're offering an authentic sample. It's not enough just to focus on the assessment piece. Why? Because within this program, we've also embedded really good strategies to help our readers that are struggling and that are excelling. So we want you to go back and we want you to rack your brain, and we want you to really think about a strategy that will really help to enhance your instruction. So let's say it is perhaps mentor text with the act of authentic writing. So I would identify mentor text as the strategy that I'm implementing in my classroom. I would identify it. I would define mentor text. What does it mean to write in an authentic manner in the classroom? And then I would offer a sample about how I'm using it. So it allows us to take a piece of the research, a piece of the content that we've shared with you in instruction, and then see how you are marrying it to the absolute classroom experience. Again, you complete it in Word. You get to your curricular adaptation section, and you can attach it in this area and hit Save and Continue or Save and Return. The 2 courses where you will find a lot of this information is EDG 542, which is the assessment course, and EDG 541, which is instructional strategies for teaching.
You might find it in 549 too, the teaching of reading as well.
It's a common thread that's really we try to embed throughout all of your courses. Do you have any questions on that?
Then let's talk about the professional development protocol. Right now you're beginning a program of study that's going to take you through a series of courses in pedagogy and assessment, and eventually will take you to a course in leadership. That course in leadership, EDG 595, Leadership for Literacy Learning, will talk about how you've taken all that you've learned so far and use it to benefit the children and youth at the school level and to work with teachers. And as part of that course, you'll actually be learning various ways by which you can work with teachers and administrators and families to improve the literacy skills of their children and youth. An example here could be where you design a book study for teachers to get together and to study once a month for 4 or 5 months. It could be a professional development session for 1 hour after school or even for a full day, that type of thing. What you would do would be provide your outline, provide some of the seminal text that you have created, handouts, that type of thing, upload it, but also talk about why you did what you did when you planned that. Because again, this is a piece designed to build in reflective practice on what it is that you're doing and doing well. You would find those pieces, put them in Word, and upload them onto the template.
Collaborative review of practice is your next section of the X portfolio. And for this section, I will ask you either to fast forward or to reflect upon previous courses. Embedded within your courses, we attach hours or practicum assignments where you need to go in and observe, where you need to go in and work with a tutoring client in order to apply the strategies or the assessments that we've taught you within the courses. In doing so, we ask you to take field notes. We ask you to engage in conversation between yourself and the written work. What are you learning? What are you seeing? How are you developing? What questions are you raising for yourself? How are you working to find the research to answer your questions? So a lot of your classes have some form of field notes attached to it. Specifically, we can go back and talk about 530, which had a field note component, 542, and 541, which also have field note components where you work specifically with a child. So for this, we're asking you to identify one. We're asking you to identify it. You can either scan it in, or if you choose to type your field notes, that's fine as well. And you could attach it simply to the iwebfolio section that speaks about collaborative review of practice.
We call it the CRP. When you think about practice is what we do, as reading specialists and as interns, we do consistently. Review means you share them with others, and collaboratively means that together you gain feedback from what you've done and move it forward. Collaborative review of practice, CRP. Questions about that? Recaps. Recaps are the reading certification action projects. And there are recaps assigned to many of the core courses. The first course, 522, Creating a Community of Readers, which is actually being offered in the coming semester, will have you going out into the field and observing a classroom for 5 hours with the understanding that you're going to be describing what you see and also linking that to theory on what we know as best practices for literate environments and developmental environments where children can thrive, where youth can thrive. The recap is fully described, and we're going to be putting those descriptions actually on a website that's connected to Cabrini's website in the very near future. And when you take that course, your instructor will help you get to that point very quickly because it's going to be the focus of much of your work. That's the recap analysis of a classroom environment.
Recap number 2 that we ask you to include in your X portfolio is attached to EDG 541, Instructional Strategies. So, we're asking you to reference that recap, submit it to your professor or your instructor at that time, take the feedback that they offer you, make those revisions, and then simply upload it to this site with a save and return or save and continue model. The opportunity for you to document this really goes back and allows you to focus on how students are growing and engaging with strategies in order to create more efficient and effective reading practice. Okay.
The diagnostic profile then will look at what you've done in terms of the assessment of a child and a learner, what you've learned to be that child or adolescent's linguistic strengths and linguistic vulnerabilities, and how you would provide best practices for that child. It'll be about both of the literacy profile and the diagnostic profiles, which are linked to EDG 541 and EDG 542, tend to be 4 to 6 pages long. It's all written in ABA style, again, using Word and using the templates that are provided for you by your faculty members. It sounds like a lot right now because you're seeing all of it at one time, but keep in mind your courses are going to continue on for at least 18 months, if not 2 years, or a little longer than that. So when you upload for yourself, have as a goal for one of these aspects, one of these texts per semester, it's all going to come naturally to you. And we're going to be coaching the adjunct as well, our part-time faculty as well, to make sure that we engage everybody in conversations about this at the end of a course, so we can see what we've done that could actually be contributed to the exit portfolio. So even when we're finished in December in this course, in the EDG 598 Foundations, we're going to talk about what you have here that you could use to highlight your strengths in the portfolio.
It's recommended that this is not something that's completed at the end of your program. It's something that we really want our students to be working alongside their program, so that we're continually going into the content that you're reading and the content that you're understanding and the work that you're producing with your courses and picking out what fits. That's why we wanted to introduce this to you so early within the program. So don't be overwhelmed by it. Take a deep breath. You have the template. You have what's coming down the pike. You see that it's aligned to the standards. You understand that it's going to be a reflective process. And in order to ensure that this is a reflective process, we've developed a matrix in order to signal that. And the matrix allows you to simply look at each of the standards that are being addressed and that how we've aligned our portfolio to, and say, okay, where did I meet this? Did I meet this standard? If so, how? And what you'll do is simply put an X in the box where it meets the individual standards. So it's a way for you to cross-check yourself, to reflect on your practice, reflect on the information that you've decided to upload. Okay? This looks a little bit more, this looks a little complex. I assure you that once you go through it, it helps you make sense, and it helps you ensure that you're in fact reflective. Okay? You'll save and continue, and you can do this right on here. You don't even need to print anything out. And the final sample is the grading rubric. And this is the rubric where we give you feedback, where we give you support along the way to say, you know, what are we getting out of this? Where's the evidence that you met the standard, and how are we going to help you move forward? Once you've completed it, you will signal to us by submitting it to the reviewer that you would like it reviewed, and we will do everything electronically. That's one of the benefits of the use of iwebfolio. iwebfolio was brought to our graduate studies program as of May 2012, so every student entering the program as of May 2012, both on and off campus, has an account set up, and this account is already here for you. In order to get to this, I recommend that you just Google iwebfolio, and you will put in your username and password, which is the same username and password that you will use in order to access your Cabrini One email.
This is part of a larger initiative that's campus-wide. We are not the only program using iwebfolio. In fact, the college has, as an institution, a goal of having every student on an iwebfolio template by the end of this academic year. So it's not just for the reading specialist candidates, it's for the undergrads, the sophomores, the juniors, and the seniors as well.
Every freshman coming into Cabrini College has an account created for them, and they're required to use it. We're moving in the trend of electronic portfolio assessment because it is current, it is standard. It allows you the opportunity to save this content, and if you want to go on an interview for a reading specialist position, you will just have the information at your fingertips.
Right.
Do you have any questions that we can answer? Melanie?
Now, I know that you guys said that throughout our course, a lot of the stuff that's in the portfolio aligns with different courses that we have. So, in doing so, is there a part where it's also checked and like graded throughout that time?
Mm-hmm. Melanie, when you submit a recap, let's go back to recap number 1, analysis of literate environment. You're going to submit that to whatever professor that has you for that course. And they're going to give you feedback, and they're going to give you ideas on how to improve your work. Or they're going to say, Melanie, you did a great job. And you're going to say, well, am I ready to upload?
Okay.
And if you're ready to upload, then it's your opportunity to simply go into iwebfolio and to pull that information up.
And truthfully, Melanie, most of the activities that faculty are going to be using that you can then use in your portfolio are contributing towards your grade. So it's not; these are not new things being created just for the portfolio. That's a good question.
And Melanie, to support that question, Dr. Chafee and I are also working on mentor syllabi so that we're ensuring that there is alignment both on and off campus, building a sense of consistency. And in our thought process, in our research, we found it's going to be beneficial to add a section into each syllabi that includes exit portfolio. And in that section, we will document and say, this artifact fits really well in exit portfolio template here, as a suggestion. So look for that coming down the pike very soon. Any other questions? A common question that I run across in the field is when is it time to kind of send it off to the reviewer? Well, we recommend 30 days from the completion of your last reading course. So whatever your last reading course is on your curriculum model is when you should shoot to submit this.
And if you've been keeping up with it and you've been submitting work all along, it's not going to be a tremendous amount of desk work at the last moment. You'll have it already just about set to go. In fact, it's possible you could have it all completed before you finish your last course, and you just want to go in and make some minor changes from that. That said, life can get in the way, and there are times when we need to give them a few more days, a few more weeks. If that should occur, just let us know, and certainly we can work around that.
Following that, we have about 30 days, give or take, in order to complete the review process on our end and to give you the communication that your work has been approved or has a minor revision. So we work within that 30-day window. In addition to that, following our communication on our end that your work has been reviewed, that will be followed with an email from Dr. Chafee that includes a dean's letter and information about the TIMS process, the Teacher Information Management System. So that's the process. We've eliminated the cumbersome act of putting everything hard copy into a binder and mail it or deliver it to graduate studies office. We went into the electronic version in order to simplify and produce with ease the submission of your capstone, of your work. So this really makes it easier for our students, and it's very current with research.
And we'll revisit it again at the end of the semester, so it's not just that this will be your first time and only time to see it.
Any other questions for the good of the group?
Go ahead.
Sorry, just to clarify, so then as we are going throughout classes, we're gonna kind of be guided with like, okay, yeah, this is what you wanna, okay.
And Asha, you know what? You already have an account with iwebfolio because you're enrolled in this program. So I encourage each of you to go and visit this account and look and see what it's like. You have this information at your fingertips already because it's in the electronic format. And you should be building this as each course progresses, rather than it's 18 months later and Asha's done her program and now I have to do my exit portfolio. No. The benefit from this is that we're embedding this into our practice to make it more user-friendly. So if anyone has a free moment between this week and next, go on there, see if this is up and running for you, give Dr. Chafee the okay that say, yes, I'm in. Okay? And if not, we'll be more than happy to help you with our support team in order to get you in. I think that does it.
I think we're good to go.
Ladies, thank you for your time. We appreciate this.
Thank you.